It's the little things in life that matter. Now, I'm sure most of you have heard this phrase at least once in your life. But if you're like me, well, you probably didn't really care too much at all about this phrase. I mean, I wanted to dream big, achieve big. I didn't want to task around with the little things. I wanted to graduate, get rich, get famous, or perhaps just have a loving family, a meaningful life. But then a thought occurred to me not too long ago. I started to think, well, how does one actually get there? And then I remembered a fond memory, long ago. Some time ago, I had a big mountain of laundry. And when I mean mountain, I mean mountain. It was pretty bad. Some of you are like, oh, that kind of looks like me. Others, moms, probably got a mini heart attack. It would get so bad that at night, my mother would be walking across the hall. It's kind of dark, and she just looks, she goes, "Ay, Hazier, who is that?" Who? She thought it was another person. That's where I realized, that is kind of bad, but still, I don't want to do that. That looks like too much work for me. Maybe someone else do it for me. Then my mother, rightfully so, had scolded me, but then she said something that has stuck with me forever. She said, just approach it little by little. I thought, little by little, okay. I took this idea and I cemented it with my students as my time as an educator. Let me tell you how. So my time as an educator, these past 2 years, I thought it would be more interesting, more fun, and probably just improve the overall classroom dynamic if I were to meet with the students one-on-one. Now I had about 130 students, but I made it happen. During class time, I met with them one-on-one, and I would ask them 3 questions. 1, how's school going for you? 2, how's life outside of school? And 3, what is one thing you are looking forward to? Let me give you an example of each. So with the first question, whenever I'd ask how's school going for you, typically when students were doing well in certain subjects, I would ask them, well, how often do you study for that subject? At home. 95% of the time, I would get 0. Nothing. Nada. So this one student in particular, let's just name him Johnny. He had around a GPA of a 2.6. So I asked Johnny, well, why don't you study at home? He's like, well, I have around 20 or 30 missing assignments. I don't really see the point anymore. I don't really care about graduating anyway. So I stopped and thought, like, that is a lot of work, but that's actually kind of impressive. You're passing high school with little to no effort at all. You're technically passing. Imagine if you did 25% more effort. No, 5% more effort. How much can your grade improve? So I told him, try 5 minutes. 5 minutes. He looked at me like, what? Mr. Rios, I have 20 missing assignments. What's 5 minutes gonna do? Well, that's a start. And it's better than nothing. It's better than nothing. Maybe after 5 minutes, you start studying a little bit more. You get used to it. And Johnny's face, his whole demeanor had changed after I said that. He was filled with hope. I'll come back to Johnny later. My second question, I had asked a student in particular. Let's name her Becca. I asked Becca, how's life outside of school? She hesitated for a second. I gave her time. She didn't even really have to answer that question because I just moved on. Totally up to her. But eventually she said, I don't think it's as good as I'd like it to be. I feel distant from my family. And then made my heart ache a little bit. So I asked, well, do you talk to your family every day? What's going on there? It's like, well, it's just me and my mom, and there's just some days where we say little to nothing at all. So I thought about that. Well, Becca, do you try to spark up a conversation? No, not really. It's like, okay. What's a little thing one person can do to spark up a conversation? Oh, how was your day? How was work? So I suggested, Becca, what if you had asked her, how was your day? Try doing that and see where it goes. Maybe she just as good moves on. Maybe she eventually asks you back. Maybe little by little, the conversation evolves. Now the door's open for you to have that conversation with her. And it's not guaranteed, but it's better than nothing. It's better than nothing. Becca, she looked up and she said, you really think so? I said, it's worth a shot. Becca's face, her whole demeanor had changed. She was filled. I'll come back to Becca. Down to my third and final question, I had asked a student in particular, his name's Steven, and I asked Steven, what is one thing you are looking forward to? Now, typically when I ask this to many students, they say prom, graduation, college, homecoming. But Steven in particular, what he said, honestly broke me. Steven said, I'm not looking forward to anything. And I paused. I wasn't expecting that answer from Steven. He's the type of student, very lively, likes to talk to people. So I had to take a second. Okay, let's bring it down. Maybe what's the little thing? Okay, Steven, what are you doing this weekend or even tomorrow? Any plans at all? Steven, he had a look of defeat, but he started looking up a little bit, started thinking more. And then he eventually said, oh, I'm going to my friend's house this week. Oh, okay. And your friend, what are you guys going to do? It's like, oh, we're just going to hang out and play video games. It's like, oh, is this a friend you see often? No, I actually haven't seen him in 3 weeks. It's like, oh, there you go. That's something you can look forward to. It doesn't have to be some big life event for you to look forward to something. It can be as simple as going to a friend's house or looking forward to what's for dinner. Start small and slowly build up to something bigger, if you like. Steven's face, his whole demeanor had changed. He was filled with hope. Now, I'll come back to Steven in a little bit. Let's take a trip back to the past. I had been working tirelessly, hours, days even. I was honestly so drained once I had finally completed this project. I had finally completed my laundry. Well, there you go. It was a lot of effort for me, but then my mother came in the room and she said, oh, was that so hard? And I said, honestly, a little. Kind of hard. But at the end of the day, little by little, I finished. So, back to the present, my time as an educator. It's been a year since I've seen my students. They're seniors now, all of them. And I see Johnny. And I'm like, Johnny, how have you been? How's everything? How's school? And Johnny looks at me and says, wow, it's just, I started studying like you said. 5 minutes turned into 10, then 20, and then 30, and I went from a 2.6 to a 3.7. I actually want to graduate now. Big smile on his face. Then later I saw Becca. Becca, how are you? How's everything? Well, started talking to my mom more, and we're actually going shopping this weekend. Wow. And last but not least, I saw Steven. Steven, how are you? How's everything? He looked at me, he smiled on his face, he said, life is actually a lot more fun now. Little things are different for everyone. What brings you joy, what helps you progress, what brings you peace in life is unique to you. Life isn't just about the grand milestones, it's about the little things you do to get there. Being with your friends, talking to your family, working on your school, on your careers. I just want to say thank you to those students as well for proving that the little things in life truly do matter. And if we ever get stuck in our lives, whether it's with our careers, our school, our relationships, or with ourselves, at least we know now we can start by working on it little by little. Thank you.